How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to another week of Bleeding Blue with GSU here on Atlanta Sports Unlimited. I'm Christian Crittenden here with you, as always, as I am every week, bringing you the best and latest coverage there is of Georgia State athletics. Now, before I get to the main topic of today, I do have some bad news. The Panther family was not selected to play in the basketball tournament this year. The roster that I made a few weeks ago was different from the final roster that they released. And a few of the omissions, like Malik Benlevy was one of them, may have played a factor in them not making the tournament this year when the committee got together and decided who they wanted to pick for the 64-team field. But some good news is that the team has not been discouraged, and they will attempt to go back at it next year. Maybe a little help. Maybe you can get RJ Hunter out there. Maybe add RJ, a few former Panthers, maybe Ryan Harrell. Even if somehow they can pull DeMarcus Simons from his MMA career, which is one reason why he didn't play this year. Maybe they get those guys to have a better shot at making it next year. Most importantly, before I keep going, make sure you subscribe where you're watching this video on YouTube, Atlanta Sports Unlimited. Make sure you follow Atlanta Sports Unlimited on social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, so you see all our videos and updates that we have, and all the great content that we have. Also, like this video. If you see what you like, leave a comment, whether good or bad. Won't hurt my feelings either way. Now, football season is a little over 70 days away. 72, 73, one of those two. But I know everyone is excited about Georgia State football this season. There's a lot of expectations on this team. They returned 22 out of 24 starters. Quad Brown is back. The offense is back. And everyone is excited to see what the team can do with the full season, and hopefully no disruptions from COVID or any other major injuries from any important players. So we're going to break down the schedule here. We're going to do the first 3 games today. It goes as follows. They have Army is coming into town on September 4th. They'll play that game at noon at Center Park Stadium. And the next week, they'll travel to Chapel Hill to play the North Carolina Tar Heels. That is September 11th. And then September 18th, they have a game under the lights against Charlotte at Center Park Stadium. Should be a good one. If you've never been to a night game at Georgia State, oh man, you are in for a treat. So let's take a look at the Army Black Knights first. It's the second time that in 3 years a team will travel to Atlanta. They came in the 2019 season in what was a rain-soaked game that the Panthers were able to fight out, and they were able to beat out Army that night. So hopefully, if you're a Panthers fan, you have that same luck this time around. But as we all know, Army runs that dreaded triple option and no one wants to play. I mean, you got to prep for that thing, and it is a monster to prep for. And then you actually got to play against it, which seems like it's even tougher. But nevertheless, the Panthers should be up for the challenge. They were up for a few years ago, so they do have some experience against it. So hopefully they're ready to go. When you're looking at Army on the field this year, they'll be without former stud fullback Sandy McCoy. He is now going on, but they do have several options to replace him, including Jacoby Buchanan, who rushed for 474 yards last year and 6 touchdowns. Now, on to next week is when the Panthers have their first of 2 really big road trips against Power 5 opponents this season. This one is North Carolina, and there's a good chance that North Carolina will be ranked when the game comes around. Probably in the top 15 unless they lose week 1, and they'll maybe still be in the top 5. Could even drop out of the top 25, who knows. But let's expect them to be ranked when the matchup comes around. And they're led by Slinging Sammy Howell, who many people believe to be a first or second round pick, a lot to be a first or second round pick, barring a disaster of a season this year. So they can expect a lot when it comes to that. Last season, he threw for over 3,500 yards. He also had 30 touchdowns as well. So a true gunslinger, if you want to call him that. So the Panthers secondary will have to come with it. They'll have to be ready to play in week 2 against North Carolina. But they did lose their top 2 running backs from last year. So the running attack, which was a strength for them last year, likely won't be this year, but the Panthers still need to prepare for both on defense. Now in game 3, they have the Charlotte 49ers, and they were supposed to play them last year, but they didn't get to play them with the game being postponed, or I guess eventually canceled due to COVID protocols. They weren't able to make that one up. So looks like it would have been a home-and-home series, and now the Panthers get their chance to play at home, and last year's game would have been at Charlotte. It's a night game, as I mentioned earlier, so if you've never been at Center Park Stadium, Georgia State Stadium for a night game, you're in for a treat. They're always good. They had one a few years ago against Tennessee State. They lost that one, unfortunately, but they had one against Kennesaw, which I personally think has been the best game at Georgia State Stadium in the stadium short time. I mean, Kennesaw is right down the road, as you know, and that they brought a lot of fans. The Panthers had a lot of fans. It was electric. It was a great environment. The following year they had Furman, which many people think was better than the Kennesaw State game. Whatever, they were both good games. But the point is, night games at GSU are fun. And get another one this year, so it should be really exciting to see. Now, as far as the 49ers on the field, they lose their top 2 rushers from last year. They have a veteran starting quarterback, but they do have a transfer from Texas A&M who could push for the starting job. And one thing about their offense, though, is they're really strong receiving corps, led by Victor Turner, who had a team-high 400 yards last year and 2 touchdowns. So for the second week in a row, the Panthers secondary will have their hands full. And they need to prepare once again for what seems to be a pretty decent passing attack. That's the first preview, but we have a lot more to go. We got the Panthers' big trip to Auburn this year, the second of their 2 Power 5 matchups on the road. And then we're going to get into Sun Belt Conference play. Ooh, that's going to be exciting. The Sun Belt Conference is really good this year. It returned a lot of good players, a few good teams. So the Panthers are going to have their handfuls in conference play. But as I mentioned weeks before, they're going to represent the East in the Sun Belt Conference Championship game this year. I'm going to tell you why later on.